Okay, so we just got done with week 14, and there's probably a solid chance that all of you put up like 130 in fantasy this week because there was just some absurd performances, and Josh Allen is pretty much already the MVP. It was an absolutely absurd day from him, and without further ado, let's get into the recap.
This dude, alright, had a 132-pound scrotum.
Holy Moses. If you could personify the feeling of having a chronic gambling addiction, enter Lions vs. Packers. I don't know how to say it, but there were just so many risks taken in this game by Detroit alone. God. Anyways, yeah, what I was trying to say is the Lions just took so many risks in this game, which is my biggest red flag for them among actually a few for the playoffs, because we might as well start talking about the playoffs for Detroit. So, yeah, my biggest concern for them is they have too aggressive play calling at times, Jared Goff turns the ball over a little bit too much, and injuries on defense. But for this particular game, you might as well goof around a little bit, and it worked once, and then failed once. On a brain-dead fourth down decision, the Lions gave the ball to Green Bay deep in their own territory, and now we really have a game. Josh Jacobs was playing some solid football, and then after both teams responded with points, it was time for Jared Goff to go win the football game himself. And he did okay. The Lions were in a weird situation where they didn't want to give Jordan Love the ball back too quickly, but they also kind of just wanted to score a touchdown above all things. And then in offensive oopsie made that a little bit more hard. But the moral of the story is this led to the wildest decision I've seen maybe ever by a coach. Spoilers for like 2 weeks down the line, but I got a documentary coming out on the Bengals, and back in the day, the Bengals made a decision similar to the call Dan Campbell made and lost the game because of it. But Dan Campbell, that boy's got a pair on him, I'll tell you what. And with his nutsack barely being contained by the 80-pound wheelbarrow he walks around with, the Lions went for it on fourth down, meaning the Packers wouldn't get the ball back if they converted. They did. Jake Bates kicked the game winner, and the Lions won a pretty fun Thursday game. But all things considered, with the Lions having such a massive lead in the NFC North, the playoff spots for the Packers and Lions are pretty much all but locked up. The Lions are going to take the number 1 seed, and the Packers are going to have to be like a 11-win team in the wild card. The NFC's wild this year. It really is.
Cousins has time, but he's picked off by Josh Metellus.
What even are the Atlanta Falcons, man? It's been too long. I gotta go back to my roots. What made me so spiteful in the first place last season? You can take the Falcons out of Arthur Smith, but you can't take the Arthur Smith out of the Falcons, am I right? And this team's problems, though, just go so much deeper than just Kirk Cousins. Let's start all the way back in the offseason. When they signed Kirk Cousins, they knew who they were getting. Kirk is a floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser. He's going to make a mid-team a little bit better, but he is not going to elevate a team to be a Super Bowl contender. And the problem is, he isn't even doing that whole ceiling thing recently. After costing the Falcons the entire game last week, he's kept this streak of diarrhea just running down his leg and dripping onto the field for yet another week of this glorious sport. It might actually happen. They might put in Michael Penis. The brother hasn't thrown a touchdown in a month, and Atlanta had another 4-sack game on defense with nothing to show for it except a piss-poor loss. Now, granted, the defense deserves a fair amount of blame here, obviously, too. But, I mean, Sam Darnold just played the best game of his life. They got pressure on him, which is the formula to beating Darnold in theory, but he responded absurdly well to it. Darnold was leaving the pocket and looking elusive as hell, had over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson went nuclear. Hell, Aaron Jones didn't even fumble either, so it was all going Minnesota's way. And when Ray McCloud coughed it up on the kickoff, it was game, series, and Atlanta has found a way to blow this division. Earlier this season, it seemed like they were just going to be playoff locks, but even though the Buccaneers are heavily injured, they've managed to climb back into this season, and they might make the playoffs, missing their best player on offense for the entire season. It's just... It's a monumental collapse by Atlanta, and we might not even be close to done yet.
Why are you the way that you are?
You know, I was ready to apologize for not believing in the Eagles. I thought that they were done with this playing down to competition thing they've done for most of the season. I had the form filled out and everything. I was ready to rid the stench of last season completely from this 2024 team's radar with a blowout win versus the Carolina Panthers. Instead, the Eagles were simply outplayed, outworked, out-efforted by a bottom 7 team in football. You can't keep relying on talent to bail you out in games. Sure, it can work versus teams like the Browns and Panthers, but I'm telling y'all, if the Eagles play like they did versus the Panthers in the playoffs, they're done. But whatever. In the end, a win is a win, right? That's all you can say, because you could make the case, if you wanted to be super optimistic, that the Panthers just played up to competition, and no, never mind. There's no way around it. The Eagles did not play well. But eventually, Philly's offense started doing things against the worst defense in football, but Bryce Young, dude, I mean, it's been 3 weeks now, but again, he's given a contender a scare. Now, because of the historic downfall of Jake Elliott, though, who is about to become the first kicker since 1994 to miss all 5 kicks from 50 plus, still though, you gotta give him credit, and it was a good effort from Carolina, but the Eagles got a hell of a kick down inside the 2, so I mean, come on. The Eagles have a top 5 defense, the Panthers have David Moore. It's not looking good. Hold on. Philly, hello? Stop blowing this. For the love of God. You just get one stop. Just one stop.
Another blitz from Philadelphia. Young leaves it for the Jets, who lunges out and tumbles down. It's ruled incomplete.
Elite defense right there, Philly. I like it. Just blow a coverage. Why not? And then let the Panthers be the Panthers. The game is a Panthers dub if he catches this ball. Like, it's just over. But he didn't, and the Panthers played well. However, the Eagles still just played right into their game script. In order to beat the Panthers, just take Chubba Hubbard out of the game. That's all you need to do. But Philly couldn't do anything on offense because they still can't do anything in the first quarter. They still haven't scored a first opening drive touchdown once this season, and despite Saquon Barkley having another great game, they were in a tight competition with the Panthers. I don't need to say anything else, right?
Represents the names that's on your helmet. Well, we don't got no decal. So represent the Browns.
No, Jameis, why? Well, I mean, at least he still threw the ball a lot, like damn near 40 times again, but this time it didn't go very well. Now, of course, we got Jameis picks and touchdowns. That's always going to be on the menu, but the Browns are just so bad still. Russ played fine. The Steelers played a little below average overall, but that's enough to be a team that's competing for Cam Ward. But the main thing to take away from the Steelers as a playoff team is George Pickens is even more important to this offense than we ever could have imagined. Scotty Miller and Van Jefferson wide receiver sets were giving me visual hemorrhoids, but it worked still, and also Cam Hayward should not be as good as he is. It's stupid. And Cleveland. Tell me, please, if you would be so kind as to enthrall me as to how the fuck Dustin Hopkins has a job. The man is the worst kicker in football. He shouldn't even be allowed to take up oxygen in the line of a soup kitchen, let alone have a contract in the National Football League. This game would have been close if he could make a fucking chip shot, but no, he couldn't. Just the Browns doing Browns things.
Just shut up and let me enjoy this pain.
When will it end? How is there more? How does the pain keep getting deeper? I don't understand. I still firmly do believe that the Jets are not that bad. At the very least, they're like the best bad team in the league. Aaron Rodgers just played his best game as a Jet, and it wasn't even close to enough. The game was Dolphins domination all the way through because the Jets defense could not stop anything, and it's kind of been a theme for most of this season. Once Robert Saleh was ejected by the A-Rod, the defense went to complete shit. I don't know what else to say. The Dolphins, I guess, are still in the playoff hunt, but the New York Football Jets, they're competing with us for a tank job. And we basically just got a free third-round pick for them. So thanks again, boys. And if they don't clean house after this season, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. Who even wants to take the Jets' head coaching job? No one should want it. This team is a disgrace. The culture is fucked. And I can only think of one man for the job. One guy who has a chance to come back and just completely f the Jets over again. We need it to happen, Bill. Please.
Put a bullet in my head and kill me right now.
I can't believe we stayed around in this game as long as we did. The Bucs took a 14-0 lead almost instantly, and that was totally fine with me. Don't get me wrong. But then again, we started to get turnovers. We got an interception. Oh no, is that even possible? Okay, hold on. Something really, really bad has to happen, and we fumbled. Okay, there we go. That's Raiders football, baby. That's Raiders football through and through. And eventually, though, Baker Mayfield started to cool off, and we sort of got back into the game, but don't worry. We had our eyes set on the prize, and we ended up falling apart, and Aiden O'Connell is likely done for the year, too, so that's top 2 quarterbacks all gone on the depth chart, which means that next week versus the Atlanta Falcons, the Desmond Ridder revenge game might come, which is a little concerning, so Atlanta, can you please not let that happen, because we got something special brewing over here. This tank is immaculate, and I don't know what else to say, man. It's been a tough year. It really has been. For anyone that watched that Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl back in the day, you'd know this game felt almost exactly the same way. If you want to talk about pure hype, this is your game. The Saints have a chance to change the future of the Las Vegas Raiders forever. And what better man to lead the tank for us than Derek Carr himself? Entertainment was everywhere in this game. The game began with a Giants 4th and 8 miss, and 0 for 5 start for Drew Lock, and a holding on the same play, and bro, I'm serious. The Giants damn near need to be investigated. This team is actually throwing games. They have to be. How the f do you blow coverages like this? How? But still, Derek Carr went down with another injury, maybe ending his season, and Drew Lock had a chance. The Giants could force overtime. It was possible. Oh, come on, horsecock Lock. Channel that energy you brought to Seattle against Philly last year, and they did nothing. But the Saints are trash too, and this is it. This is the closest the Giants are going to come to winning a game for the rest of the year. We cannot let this chance go to waste, and the way the Raiders have been playing teams a little too competitively, I'm starting to get concerned. We may accidentally win a game or two, so we need this, Drew. We need it. He got a huge run. The stadium pulse was at max. The Giants' elaborate Lawrence Taylor-inspired OnlyFans model scheme might have started to work. Hearts were throbbing. The world watched and awaited the biggest field goal kick in the history of sports in general.
Prior to the snap, Gillen the hold, the kick no good!
Oh, God damn it, Giants! Why? Okay, fine. We didn't get that one, but the Jaguars handled business versus the Titans. With Trevor Lawrence now discarded to pay for his eternal punishments of trying to deviate from the Jaguars' formula of constant suffering, he is done for the season. And with him out, it's the Mac Jones show for the whole year, which, all taking scenarios aside, honestly made for the most boring game of the season. 65% of these dudes are not going to be starting on a football team next year, and I don't know, man. I got nothing to say. This game was unwatchable. Will Levis sucks, Mac Jones sucks, but the Jaguars won the game, and it's a battle between us and the Giants for the top prize. Fun times for all.
Yep, back at it.
Welcome back to this week of Let's Flip a fucking Coin and see if Kyler decides to play like a Hall of Famer or prime Brian Hoyer. And in this game, he completely sunk the Cardinals ship right out of the gate, which made the rest of this battle just miserable for Arizona. Kyler has played worse this season, which is not a compliment, but his 2 first-quarter picks just ruined the game for Arizona. The Seahawks jumped out to a massive lead early, and for their sake, I can't believe it, but maybe what they needed to inject life into their run game was have their star running back get hurt, because in K9's place, Zach Charbonnet looked great. Geno played a hell of a game too, and Seattle's defense is still a bit suspect, but Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon remain elite as a corner duo, and a doinked field goal ruined any chances the Cardinals had at a comeback. So, I don't know. I was thoroughly unimpressed by the Cardinals. I thought that they could win this game, but at the same time, I also feel like I'm getting a little bit sold on the Seahawks as at least the best team in the NFC West, which, once again, not saying much, but they got a big lead in this division, and their fate is in their own hands. If they can win with a tough schedule next week, I think they play the Packers and then like Minnesota the next 2 weeks, which is going to be hard, but if they can win like 3 of their next games, they're going to win the division and make the playoffs. Dog, this is the biggest blowout we've seen all year. At least it's up there with the Jags-Lions. I've never seen a more lopsided first half all year. I couldn't think of a single positive for the Bears. The defense was getting put through a blender. The Bears offense couldn't complete a pass. Thomas Brown looked lost, and this resulted in some S-tier Bears football. At halftime, they were outgained 319 total yards to 4. And the net passing yard difference was 254 to -3 at the half as well. The game ended after the 49ers' second possession in the first quarter. They made San Francisco look like their team from last year. Now, I'm still not putting that much, if any, stock in this game, because, like, it's the Bears. Come on. But, I don't know. For Chicago, they have some defensive problems, and looks like they need a new head coach, too. Thomas Brown is not going to be the guy. So, I don't know. There's this defensive guy. He was pretty popular a few years ago. They might want to look into him. I think his name is, like, Pratt Nieberflus or something like that. He could be good. So, I don't know. Maybe give him a call.
Weezy out of here. Weezy out of here.
What? Are the Rams good? So, look, first of all, no, their defense would have a tough time matching up against me. I'm mean in the slot, trust me. But their offense, dude, it can compete with the NFL's best, and this game proved it. Also, do not forget that this is a team with wins versus the Niners, when healthy, and the Vikings so far this season, and with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Kyren all out there and healthy, this is just a deadly offense, and those boys led the Rams to their biggest win all season by a lot. Because, like I said, the defense did nothing. The Rams had so many chances to try and count on their defense to clinch it. At one point, they had the Bills in a 1st and 30 situation, and then allowed a 50-yard Khalil Shakir touchdown. And then later, after going back and forth, the Rams just could not keep the Bills out of the game. So then it was clear to Sean McVay. If they were going to win this game, they had to keep Josh Allen off the field on offense rather than on defense. Because meanwhile, the dude was going ballistic with 6 touchdowns. And so they rolled the dice. On 4th down, Sean McVay actually went for it. And Stafford threw a signature, beautiful sidearm to Tutu Atwell. Oh, God, I'm really going to miss him when he leaves. And Puka Nacua got another score, and the Rams did what the 49ers couldn't and revived their season against arguably the best team in football. Now, the Rams still can't guard it. Let's make that clear. But they've at least set themselves up for a chance at bringing this year around. And this Thursday game, Rams versus 49ers, is going to be one of the most important all season. One team is going to be eliminated from the playoffs, and the other's got a chance. So it's going to be fun on Thursday. That's all I got to say. How do you explain this game to someone who didn't watch it live? Comedy is subjective, I understand, but early on, for most of like the first 3.5 quarters, it was just boring football. Justin Herbert got hurt like 4 times, kept coming back, and meanwhile, Mahomes was pressured on pretty much every throw, has terrible receivers, and nothing was happening whatsoever. But then, in the 4th quarter, with the Chiefs finding a way to not have full control of this game, Mahomes needed to have a legacy drive. He's clearly proven nothing in his career whatsoever. He's a terrible football player, and he needed a huge drive, which he did. The Chiefs went down the field, and Patrick Mahomes hit Travis Kelce for a 1st down, and the Chiefs were in position to ice the game. They doinked it in! It went in! F*** you, Bears fans! Well, we got ourselves a pretty unexpected tank bowl, at least earlier in the season. I totally thought the Cowboys were going to suck, but the Bengals, I don't know how we got here still. And as Joe Burrow even said after the game, it is true that the Bengals just have been unlucky and they finally got a break in this game, but still, man, their defense just continues to be one of the worst in the entire NFL. And every single time Joe Burrow even makes like a singular mistake, it just feels like the game is over. And the Cowboys should have actually won this game. There was a missed face mask call that would have given the Bengals new life, but luckily, the Cowboys did Cowboys things and ended up blocking a punt and then just didn't grab the ball. I don't understand. Whatever, though. It then led to a Jamar Chase walk-off touchdown, and absolutely nothing is going to happen from this game. Neither of these teams are even sniffing the playoffs, so a fun game, but who cares? But before we go, you know what time it is. It's time for the Tubfrog Discord Awards, where I turn to you, the people, to see what you thought were the best plays, players, and worst plays and players from Week 14. And without further ado, let's begin, because I asked what you thought the best play was from Week 14, and it went to Puka Nakua's toe tap grab. It was, I mean, do you know how hard that is? Yeah, do you know how hard it is to keep your concentration and hold on to the ball and just barely get 2 feet in? Unreal. And then I asked what the worst play was from Week 14, and it went to Xavier Legette's drop touchdown. I know Eagles fans are about to be fuming at me in the comments, but I don't know what else to say. They should have lost to the Panthers. They really should have. And then I asked what the best game was from Week 14, and it went to Bills vs. Rams. Arguably the game of the year. I'll probably still give it to the second Ravens-Bengals, but it's definitely up there. And then I asked who the best player was from Week 14, and Josh Allen, one of the only guys to do it in a losing performance this season, but he took home the award here. And yeah, 6 touchdowns, the best fantasy quarterback performance of all time. What more needs to be said? And then I asked who the best team was from Week 14, and it went to the Rams. I mean, just, yeah, nobody saw that coming, and all of a sudden, they're right back in the playoff race. And then I asked who the worst team was from Week 14, and the Chicago Bears are back. It just, even with no Matt Eberflus, it was just worse than we ever could have imagined. So, yeah, their season is very, very, very over. And then I asked who the worst player was from Week 14, and you know, I could have put it on another different set of names here. Some defensive guys probably deserve to mention, but it's kind of funny to just keep throwing Kirk Cousins up here. He is just falling apart these last few weeks. And then I asked what the best Gatorade flavor was, and it was a lot more lopsided than I thought. Light blue? Really, guys? Dude, over fruit punch? Come on now. What are you guys on? But anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one. And if you did like this video, then watch this video I did a few weeks back on the Week 4 recap of the 2022 season. It's pretty good, trust me. And thanks to all my Patreons for pledging $1. It truly does mean a lot. But anyways, until next time.